In August 1945, these two atomic bombs devastated the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The lives of 220,000 people were ended in moments. But not that of Kohei Oiwa. He happened to have taken a day off school.
It was a really hot day, and my mother knew we didn't really study at school. So when I told her my stomach hurt, she said, "You can take a day off today." These words eventually became a life or death decision for me. I was only 13 years old. A wounded man passed out in front of me, so I dragged him into the front entrance of our house. Right after, I gave him some water. He died in front of my eyes. I'd never experienced such tragedy. Then, I also witnessed hundreds or maybe thousands of people dying on the streets, and I had to help the soldiers clear away the dead bodies.
Oiwa has always felt guilty about surviving the atomic bomb attack and hasn't told his story until now. He says he feels it's his responsibility to pass his stories on to young people. He has now visited more than 100 schools in Tokyo. Toshiko Tanaka also felt guilty after losing all her friends. She was living in an area that was to become Ground Zero, the site of the Hiroshima detonation. She survived, as she'd been evacuated to a town 2 kilometers away 6 days before the attack. She now travels around the world to share her story.
It was such a tragedy that I kept my mouth shut for a very long time. But when I visited Venezuela at the age of 70, government officials asked me if I was sharing my experience. I said no, I just don't want to talk about it. But then they said, survivors like you are the only ones who can talk about it. You have the responsibility to speak out to achieve a nuclear-free world. Their words changed my mind.
As the number of survivors like Oiwa and Tanaka decrease, a younger generation of Japanese is recording their stories. In Tokyo, Mitsuhiro Hayashida from Nagasaki is running a project retelling those experiences.
I can recall clearly when my grandfather, who is a strong man but reticent, started crying when he talked about cleaning dead bodies and the odor they had. He described how he helped to distribute food to the hungry after the atomic bomb was detonated. I started the storytelling project in Tokyo to reach a wider audience. When you turn on the TV, you hear news about North Korea, China, or Russia. So nuclear weapons should be an issue we should all be tackling as a whole. But unfortunately in Japan, I feel that issue has been narrowed down to something discussed in cross-community in Hiroshima or Nagasaki.
At a time when political tension is increasing around the world, survivors of the atomic bombings here are standing up with the younger generation in the hope such horror won't happen again. Mai Yoshida, TRT World, Tokyo.